sock looms. I have plenty, and today I'm going to go over the different looms that I have and why I have them and what I like about them. Hey y'all, I'm Erica from the LopsidedCrafter.com. Let's go over some of the sock looms that I have in my repertoire. I will go over why I have the sock looms that I have, why I have duplicates of some. We'll go over the gauge. We'll go over everything that you need to know so that if you are interested in making socks on the loom, you can hopefully learn from what I have here, the best sock loom that will work for you. So I'm going to push all of this aside and I'm going to go over one at a time. Okay, so I'm not going to be going over these in any particular order. I'm just randomly grabbing the looms that are closest to me. I will do my best to go over my likes and dislikes with each loom. Some may have likes, some may only have dislikes. Some may have both. I am not paid by either one of these companies to give you my opinion. This is my honest, unbiased opinion on all of these sock looms. So the first looms that I'm going to go over are the KB His and Her looms. These are from Authentic Knitting Board or KB Looms. At one time you could buy them at Joann's. Hobby Lobby may still carry them. You can get them on Amazon as well as kblooms.com. Now, if you have the ones that came out several years ago, 2017-ish, when they first came out with the His and Hers, the gauge was a little different. So if you don't know about gauge, gauge is determined by, let me show you on this purple one. It's a little bit easier to see the pegs. Gauge is determined by the width from the center of one peg to the center of the other. So when these looms first came out, they were actually a 5/16 gauge. I'm not sure what happened, if they decided to rework the design to make them smaller, to fit in your hand better. I'm not sure the reasoning behind it, but the ones now and probably for the last 3 or 4 years, maybe a little longer, are now a 1/4 inch gauge. So you have a 1/4 inch from the center of one peg to the center of the next. Now, these are not my favorite sock looms, and this is just a personal preference. For me, they seem to stretch out too far in the middle when I am working on the sock. And they, for me, again, don't seem to shape themselves back down the way it needs to, if that makes sense. Again, this is just a personal preference. You may find that if you have these or you purchase these, that they may work for you. So please don't let my opinion on them for how it works for me discourage you from trying these looms. I will let you know up front, I am not an affiliate with KB Looms, but I do have an affiliate link with CinDwood Loom, CinDwoodCrafts.com. It doesn't cost you any extra to use my link if you decide to purchase one of the looms from CinDwood Crafts. Okay, back to these looms. The 56 peg loom, even though it says it's a hers, is too small for my foot. So that does not work. The one that is marketed as a his loom is 64 pegs. Depending on the pattern that I am using, this may or may not work for my foot as well. I have a 64 peg loom from CinDwood Crafts that works good, and I think it's the shape, which I will show you that in a little bit. I'll do a side-by-side comparison. These are more of a narrow oval, and like I said, I think it's so that it would be easier to hold it in your hand, which is a good design element, but I think that it being the oval being the way it is, it stretches the sock. That's just my, like I said, just my opinion. I know people that use these looms and have had success with them. One thing that I will note while I have you here, if you have a sock on the loom, try not to put that sock up and not touch it for years, months, weeks. The reason is it is no different than taking a nice ball of yarn and pre-winding it to make a sock or whatever, and then set it on the shelf. By winding and or putting your sock on the loom and just walking away, this yarn is constantly under stretch pressure. And when it comes off the loom, the muscle memory of the yarn is not going to remember to shrink back down, recede to the original shape. So that's just, you know, a little tip there. If you plan to make a sock, try to make the sock as fast as you can and not just, you know, put it off to the side, because it does an injustice to your yarn and to your overall project. This next loom that I have is a 3/16 64 peg loom by CinDwood Crafts. This one is about 1/8 of an inch smaller than the 1/4 inch. This one is a good loom. I really like the CinDwood looms. It has good stitch definition. The round looms are very easy to do the Kitchener cast on. For all of the round looms, I tend to normally would do toe up. For this particular one, I have chosen to do cuff down and going to do the Kitchener cast off for this one. So again, this is a nice loom and would make a perfect size sock. My next video is going to be about conversions as far as knitting needles versus the gauge on the pegs. So that if you actually find a needle knit pattern and it calls for a specific size needle, then you would know which loom to use. Not digging that pink or that gray stripe right there that went right through the middle of the sock, but that's just the way things roll sometimes. But that's not a fault of the sock itself, and it's really not a fault of the yarn. It just happens to be where it went. So it is what it is for that. But again, I like this loom. It's not the one that I gravitate to the most, but I do enjoy making socks on this loom. Our next choice is the X loom. This is a 1/4 inch gauge loom with 112 pegs. It comes with 4 sliders so that you can move the stitches in to decrease and out for increasing. So you could ideally start a sock with toe up by starting with a few stitches and increasing out, or you could do it the opposite way and start cuff down and decrease your stitches at the toe to create more of a rounded toe effect. I have only done one sock on this loom, and it was actually a gift, so I can't really say how well the sock fit afterwards. So I will do a test on that for you. I will actually make a sock on this loom so that we can see how the sock reacts after it is done. Does it bounce back into shape the way it should? Does the long X's affect the overall shape of our finished project? So I will definitely work on that for you. So look for that video in the coming months. I say that because if you are a follower of my channel, you know that these videos that I am putting out over the next few weeks have been pre-recorded because of my upcoming surgery. So this one will probably take me a little bit of time. If you're watching this video in the future and I have already made the sock and tested for myself, the link will be below. The next set of looms that I have, I am really proud of. If you follow my channel and you have seen my previous videos on how to do a vanilla sock on the loom, I did one on an oval loom that was not marked, which is in the house. But it is the same exact loom except for it doesn't have these marked pegs. One of my followers reached out to CinDwood Crafts and asked them if they could make a customized loom marked off the way that I describe how to set up the loom for the Kitchener cast on, for your heel short row shaping and your toe short row shaping. And then CinDwood Crafts reached out to me to see if I wanted to test one of their looms. And they sent me that one. I loved it so much that I went back and I got the additional sizes. If you go to the website and you look up, as I said, I will have a link below. But if you look up oval sock looms, down at the bottom of the description, it will say customize the pegs the way you want or customize them the way the Lopsided Crafter does. And y'all, that makes my heart so happy. So happy. But back to the looms. So these are a 1/4 inch gauge. I have the 56, the 60, and the 64. Typically for needle knitting patterns, you would have 56, 64, and then another one over here that would be 72. Some sock patterns are 60, but I'm just going to push this one back for just a second. I have these because these have the same amount of pegs as my typical stitch count for a needle knitting sock, whether it's somebody else's pattern or my own. A lot of the designs that I make that are lace and things of that nature will always be 56, 64, or 72. I do have one that is 60 just because of the stitch repeat. It would not even out on the 56 or the 64. I love these. I don't have to worry about marking my pegs off with stitch markers for the short row shaping of the heel and the toe. Everything is right there for me and already ready. I love these looms. Now, if you look at the difference between this one is a 56 peg loom, 1/4 inch gauge, and so is this. They look the same. And if you set the KB loom on top of the CinDwood, they still look the same. If you set it on the bottom and you look right here, you can see that the KB Looms one is much more narrow. And I think that's why it stretches the sock out the way I do not like it. I may be wrong, but that's just, you know, again, this is just my opinion on the looms that I have and what works for me. I have done a video on my channel with these looms as a separate review. I have also done a vanilla sock on this loom, these particular looms, where I show how you can change colors if you want a different color for your toe and heel. This is a close, I have two that are very close to first of which ones that I gravitate to the most. I will show you the next one that I gravitate to the most, and then you'll understand why. So the next one that I gravitate to the most is this round loom, and it is also a 1/4 inch, and it's 64 pegs. And it's written custom because this is not something that they normally would do. You can request a custom loom and have them marked off the way that you like. The loom is marked off similar to the way the oval loom is. However, there are a few differences. I chose to have one of the pegs on the side to be a different color. Depending on where I start my Kitchener cast on, this could be either my first peg or my last peg. I then have the same amount of pegs on each side of the loom that represent my short row shaping for toes and heels. But I also have here in the middle 2 extra pegs that are a different color. And what this does is it just separates my middle. This would be the top of the toe or the heel bed. It just separates that area in half. And that would be for a different heel. That would be for the Flegel heel. And that's why I had them add those 2 extra stitches in the middle. So whenever I'm doing the Flegel heel, I know exactly where to start. So between that one and this one, these are the 2 that I use the most when it comes to socks. Love these. The next ones that I have are, these are both 1/4 inch, and they are 56 pegs. Okay, so Erica, you said you don't like the 56 pegs because it doesn't fit your foot. Again, I go back to the design of this loom. I just think it's too narrow because a 56 peg sock on this loom will not fit my foot, but a socks made with this 56 peg loom of the same gauge will. So that is what led me to believe that it was just because of the design. Because if you set them together, and it's kind of hard to do with one being round and one being oval, but if you set them together, you can tell they are the same exact gauge. I have 2 because I do not want to fall down into the single sock syndrome. I want to be able to make both at the same time. So what I tend to do is separate my yarn into equal parts. If I have 100-gram skein, I will separate it into 50 grams each. And if I'm doing different colored toes, heels, cuffs, that kind of thing, I will do the toe on one loom. And when I am finished with that toe and have joined the new color, I will cut the toe color off and then do the toe on this side. I do it that way to ensure that I have enough of that extra yarn. The last thing I want to do is have a gray toe, pink foot, gray heel, and then come over and work the second sock and only have enough for a gray heel. Now, I would wear them. Honestly, I would wear them that way, but I know a lot of people don't like to do that. So, for me to ensure that the socks somewhat look identical, or that I can ensure I have enough yarn, I will do them 2 at a time within each section. I hope that makes sense. The next set of looms that I have are the 1/4 inch 60 peg looms. Now I had these before CinDwood came out with the ovals. As you can see, I already have a sock started on this loom doing the Kitchener cast on. This yarn is by Arkansas Yarn Co., which is one of my favorite not so local LYSs. The ladies that run the shop, Lori, Jessa, Anna, and Lindsey, are my people. I love those ladies to death. So if you're looking for a local yarn store and you're in the area, pop on in, tell them Erica said hello. The Lopsided Crafter sent you. And if you're not so local, they do have a website. I really love their yarn. It is soft. It makes wonderful socks and wonderful projects, whether you are loom knitting, needle knitting, or crocheting. So again, I love these. Not ones that I grab so often anymore because of the ones that I do have already marked. The next one that I have is not necessarily a sock loom. This is marketed as a universal hat and scarf loom. The reason I have this, again, is because of the slider pegs. You can move these pegs where you want them, and you can make 2 socks at a time. I have figured out a way to do the Kitchener cast on this loom. And if you would like me to do a video for that, I definitely would. Please comment below and I can get on that for you. Some things to keep in mind, that it is a little tricky to get into the center here with your loom hook. But if you go back and watch my favorite loom hook videos, I show you a non-traditional loom hook that you can use on these looms, and I will link that in the iCards up above. Again, this is the 1/4 inch, and I really do like this loom. I actually have 2 of them. They're wonderful for doing 2 at a time. They fit in your, all of these fit into a project bag very, very easily. So you don't have to worry about, you know, them taking up a lot of space or a lot of space in your crafting area. I myself personally have a pegboard on the wall so that I can hang up my looms while I'm not working on them. Again, I love this loom. It works perfectly. You know, the slider pegs allow you to make 2 at a time, which is what a lot of people like to do. They do have other looms that are smaller that can also be used at 2 at a time, and also some larger ones that can be used 2 at a time. So as you can see from all the looms that I have showed you, my go-to is a 1/4 inch gauge. Those are the ones I love. Those are the ones I stick to the most. If you have any questions on any specific loom, please comment below. I will make a separate video and try to go over it a little bit more. If you have any questions on sock looms in general, please post those below as well so that I can do a question and answer video for you. I hope that you enjoyed this video. I hope to give you a little bit of information on sock looms, why I have them, why I love them, why I gravitate to ones over the other. And until next time, guys, happy loom knitting. Bye.